Blacking China, Season 2, sponsored by Hayden T. Joseph, Certified Public Accountant. Visit us at advancedamericantax.com.
你们现在就在看《黑人在中国》。
黑人在中国。
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 My name is Antonio Jackson. I go to Xiamen University, and I'm currently pursuing my Master's of International Economics in Trade and Business.
My name is Christal Oliver. I'm from Antigua and Barbuda, the most beautiful islands in the Caribbean. I attend East China University of Science and Technology. This is my campus, and I'm studying environmental engineering.
Hi, my name is Jackie. I'm from Dominica. I go to Shanghai财经大学, which is Shanghai University of Finance and Economics, and I study economic and trade.
My name is KeiaraFox Burrows. I'm from San Francisco, California, and I'm a bachelor's degree student at Fudan University, and I'm studying my LLB.
My name is Matt Johnson. It's a very American name. It's, I live in Harbin, China, and I live here because I study Chinese.
Hi, my name is Runako Stevenson. I am of Caribbean heritage, Jamaican and Grenadian kayak, and I was born in England. I am studying in China. I'm doing language at the moment. I'll be doing my master's next year.
I'm Stephanie Yoko, and I'm a student at Shanghai University. I got picked up from the airport, and they dropped me off outside the gates of the university. So you have this me. I mean, I'm a 150-pound woman, a whole lot of women, but I have these heavy ass bags, and I'm trying to like walk to God knows where on campus. So the campus has like A through Z, and guess where I live? Z. So I'm over here walking. It's like 6 o'clock in China. It's already dark as fuck. So I'm over here walking, looking for. All right, this is B. See me the time I gotta go all the way back to the back of the campus. I just felt so. So I'm walking. I finally get to Z, and I'm just like, okay. But you need an ID to scan to get inside the building. Lady sees me. Oh, I'm over here like, and she's like, your ID, and I was like, you see me with your luggage? Like, I just got here. Like, this is my first day in China. Like, you see me with my luggage, and she's just like, your ID, and I'm just like, for 5 minutes, I'm over here. Mayo. Yo, because it's basically the only word besides like ni hao, ni za, ma yang, and shay shit that I knew was mayo, like don't have. I was like, mayo. She was just like looking at me, and she went back to her computer, and then she looked at me again, and then she was like, finally she like went outside to come help me. I was like, I'm a new student, and she was like, oh, okay, good, okay. So I bring all my shit in one by one, because I was too tired at that point. And then she's like, what's your last name? What's your, show me your passport, all this stuff. And she's like, all right, cool. Your roommate's Mongolian, that cool? And I was like, you know, that's whatever. Like, I don't really care. I want to go home and go to sleep. Like, I want to go in my room and go to sleep. I'm tired as hell. I go upstairs, put my stuff in the elevator, go upstairs with it, take everything out. And I'm like, okay, whew, finally made it to my room. So excited. I knock on the door. She opens the door. This girl, Mongolian. She looks at me in the eye. She's just like, no. And I was just like, what are you talking about? What's going on? And I'm so confused. She's just like, no. And I was like, what is this girl talking about? Like, what you mean, no? No way. I'm trying to put my stuff in. She's like, no. And I'm just like, I'm sorry. I live here, girl. You see, I live here. Because the keys wasn't working, so I had to knock. Like, I live here. It's okay. And she's like, nope. Bushir. And she just kept doing this. Bushir. And I was like, do you speak English? And she was like, no. But how'd you know what I said? Okay, I guess you don't speak English. All right. So we end up, she goes downstairs. She just runs downstairs. Her boyfriend's in the room. I'm like, hey, what's going on? He was like, oh, I don't know what's happening. He knew what was happening, but he just didn't want to say nothing. I didn't know what was happening too, but I was like, nah, can't be a thing. Can't be a thing. I go downstairs, and she's arguing with the lady. She's just like, no. Basically, she can't live with me. And then the lady was like, why can't you live with her? And she was like, I can't live with her. I just can't live with her. She was like, why can't you live with her? So finally, she ends up screaming out, Tasha, hey, Ren. And I was just like, And I just started crying. Like, I sat down. My phone wasn't working, so I couldn't contact my parents. But then I was like, I'm about to go stay in a hotel. I don't even know how this works. Will it take my credit card? Like, I can't do this right now. Like, I'm just so tired. Like, I was delusional at that point. And she's just like yelling, like, I'm about to stay with this black person. And she's just like yelling and yelling and yelling. And then finally they're like, okay, fine, like, you don't have to live with her. Like, it's okay, like, fine. This whole time I'm over here recording this shit, because I'm like, this is about to go somewhere. I don't know what I'm about to do, but I'm about to carry this footage for the rest of my life. I'm over here Snapchatting it, keeping the snaps for later. Like, I'm about to, like, this has to go everywhere. And I was just like, and I went up to her and I was like, wait, Shema. She just looked at me up and down and just like walked off. That was it. So I waited like 30 minutes. By this time, mind you, I got there at like 6 something. It was already 7:30. So I'm just like, all right. So what I'm about to do, so they're like, oh, we'll figure it out. We'll try to look for a new place for you to stay, blah, blah. They were like, all right, well, we have one other room. You can live there. And I was like, all right, cool. So I go to that room. Like, no one else is living there. It's just me. And I'm just there. And I'm just, like, thinking about all this stuff. And I'm just like, how the fuck did I get here? Why the fuck am I here? Like, I'm ready to go back. Like, this is not okay. This girl literally did not want to live with me because I was black. That's like my first experience in a new country. So that already puts you in a place where like, is everyone like this? So the first few days I'm actually in Shanghai, I find myself doing a lot of like all these people after me, like they all hate me. And that, it's depressing as shit. You know what, like you're the only one in this country, like basically no one else speaks like English, kind of. Like they all speak their like other language, like they barely speak English. So it was a rough first week, basically. It was a really rough first day. It was especially rough first week, trying to like get through all of that. And I got a roommate who is Korean, and that has been cool.
For me, my school, like they have no, like I've been to other schools just to visit and stuff, and I hear of other schools, and basically I would say my school has no perks, but then like all my credits, it's recognized all around the world. So in the education part, like for book materials and the way they teach and stuff, it's really good, but anything outside of that, I think they lack a lot there, like even with basic reception skills and whatever.
Just as a general foreigner, like in class, like yeah, you're always being watched. You're always being studied, man, because you know a lot of people here, they don't get exposure to foreigners, you know, and actually like a lot of those like a lot of the teachers, man, they're kind of excited, man. It's like seeing new Pokemon for the first time, like every semester. You know what I'm saying? Like really, like they're like waiting to see like these new students that are coming. You know, so it's like, yeah. So they're always watching, asking strange questions. You know, and then there's the as an American part, right? And like in class as an American, like it's a whole nother kind of experience, you know, because like the teachers are actually always focusing on you, because I've kind of realized, you know, a lot of Chinese people, they focus on America, or you know, at least what they think they know about America, and so just got all these questions for you during class, you know, they're asking, you know. So yeah, like I definitely say as a foreigner, like even now, like I always feel like I'm being watched,
because at least, okay, I'm from Antigua and Barbuda, you know, small island in the Caribbean. So we only have like med schools there. So if you want to pursue anything else, you have to go off. The majority of the students go to the States. Some go to Canada, some go to the UK. I would say majority go to the States, and I don't like following trends. So I was like, there was a scholarship opportunity to go to China. I mean, initially it was my mother who pushed me, who just said, go and apply for it. And I was like, okay. So I went and applied. It was the only thing I completed the applications for, and I got it. So I came here, and I was also quite interested in experiencing a different culture, and I always had a goal of learning more languages. So I figured, okay, if I come here, then I definitely have to learn another language. So it's like a win-win. Why this school? Initially, I was actually placed in this school because once you're on the scholarship program, depending on your major, they place you in the school. And based on my degree, like this school has one of the best engineering programs in China, and it's actually one of the top ranked schools in Shanghai and also in China. It's in the top 35 in China. So it is a pretty good school, and the program is also really good. So that's another reason why I continue doing my master's here.
So you're an engineering student?
Environmental engineering.
Can I laugh at that really quickly though? Only because you're in China.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know. With all the air pollution that's used. But I mean, they are... Water pollution. Funny, at this school, they're actually doing a lot of research into dealing with water pollution and water management. Also air and not so much solid waste, but I'll say most of water. There's even soil remediation projects and experiments going on. And yeah, I mean, granted, things are, I guess, being done slowly on a small scale. I think once the regulations are put into place by the government, then they'll be more forced to handle most of these issues.
I was awarded a scholarship to come to China to study, but even being awarded, I mean, you still had to make the decision and stuff. I just figured, like, I was young, nothing's been going on, and let me just see what it's like to throw yourself into something completely different from being home and being comfortable and stuff. So I was like, oh, China, completely different. It sounds like something, you know, I'd want to do to go through the experience and stuff.
An LLB is a bachelor's in law, and they don't offer LLBs in the United States because you can only study law as a master's in LLM. So essentially, I'm doing it here just to learn Chinese and to have that degree. I moved to China in 2012, and it kind of went from there, but I was initially just gonna stay 6 months and do the whole like community college thing in the States. You know, I like San Francisco State, City College of San Francisco, and then transfer to a state university and, you know, do the credits at the whatever community college. But then someone had told me to learn Chinese, and it was just kind of like, I was like, okay, I can never learn Chinese back home. Let me go to China for a few months and just whack, you know, get it all out the way, whatever. You know, 6 months is totally enough to learn one of the oldest languages in the world, of course. So clearly that was not very feasible. So then I was like, okay, let me stay another year. And at this time I was in Beijing. And that year turned into me doing a program or applying for the scholarship, Chinese government scholarship, and I actually initially was going to do journalism or Chinese language. Then I met someone who was like, you know what, do law. And I was just like, okay. I'm just kind of one of those people, just like, sounds good to me. Same thing happened with me learning Chinese in general. At first I wanted to learn French or Italian or Spanish, Arabic, who knows, name all the languages. Chinese was not on that list. And then someone said to learn Chinese, and I was just like, oh, okay. So it kind of just, you know, one thing led to another type of thing. So now here I am in my sophomore year, and I'm studying all in Mandarin, and it's definitely difficult, but it's possible, and I think that as long as, you know, put time into anything, that you will come out on top and results will be positive.
Like, basic situation is I was in the Navy, right? And then in the Navy, like, after you get out, you have like a program called JIBIL, which will sponsor you to go to school certain places in America or around the world. And you know, I mean, they pay for me to go to school here after I applied. And you know, I just kind of took the money that I'd saved up from being there and just flew out here. You know, I mean, at the time, like, there was a lot of motivation. Like, I had to come here and learn Chinese because China's so mysterious. Like, it's so different from the US, it's so different from the West that I was just like, shit, like, I really just want to get out there and experience whatever the hell is out there.
I came here the first time, originally it was just an exchange program with my university. I did languages, so it was just my year abroad, to be honest. I was at Tsinghua, the other Harvard of China. And yeah, I was there for a year. I really enjoyed it. It just kind of made sense to me at that time. I felt there was a lot of opportunities. I felt like once I graduated, it could be somewhere that I could benefit from being. And yeah, I made a plan to come back, and I didn't look back, really. I'm currently doing Swahili. They have Swahili classes at the school, so that's what I'm currently doing as well.
You know, Shanghai University is by mistake. I had 2 weeks to choose, and I was writing my capstone paper, so I didn't really have time to like pick. So I'm writing like 45 pages for my capstone, my senior capstone. So I was just like, Shanghai. I called my mom and she was like, hey, I got some family, well not family, I got some friends out in Shanghai or whatever from back in the day, because they're French, they live out here. She was like, you mean it'll be easier for you? You would already have some type of like established relationship here because they're my friends. So I was like, okay. So I just circled Shanghai University. Didn't research it, didn't do nothing about it. Nothing. It was just like done. If I could do it all over again, I would probably pick a smaller city. Like Xi'an. Definitely would. My friend's there and he is doing great. But basically how I ended up getting the scholarship was my school has, I go to University of Oklahoma back home, and they have a program with the Confucius Institute. They're basically, you take a test, you do well on the test, you're supposed to get a certain score on it, HSK 3, 4, or 5. And you take that test, and it just basically shows that you're dedicated to Chinese language. So I ended up taking HSK 3 exam, which is really weird because I didn't really have experience. What I did was I ended up memorizing things. So I memorized the whole summer. I spent my time memorizing before I took the test. Ended up getting like barely a passing score. It was like 120 to get. I got 134, but 180 is like what that is considered like boss. But I got 134 because I was just like, I don't know no Chinese. Like I'm just trying this out. So I ended up doing that because I just didn't have time in my schedule to be out here taking a full Chinese course. It's really rigorous, and we're already taking 2 majors. I don't have the time. So I did that, and then I had my dean of my college write me a recommendation letter, did all of this stuff. And then next thing you know, I get a phone call and I get this like letter in the mail. They're like, oh, you got the scholarship. Here's the school that you picked. Blah, blah, blah. It's done or whatever. And I read like all the other fine prints, and it's all included. They pay for you, they pay for your scholarship and fees here. And then they give you a stipend per month. The stipend is about 2,500 kwai. Which is maybe $300 plus dollars per month, which is a lot in China. You know what I mean? Like as a student, you don't really need that much money. So like that's a lot of money to just be giving foreign students to come out here and study. So I don't think America has that for anyone. Not even like us who live in America.
Language school. All right. So getting here, I mean like. Okay, it's a 1 year, not even a fully 1 year course because it's just like 2 semesters, you know, September to January and then March to June. And you have intensive Chinese classes. So you have listening, speaking, reading comprehensive, and writing classes in the first semester. And you have this every day from 8 until 3, of course with a lunch break. And then in the second, some days go until 5. And then in the second semester, since, they're preparing to throw you off into university, they introduce math, chemistry, physics, biology, depending on if you're going into medicine. And you have these, in Chinese, it's pretty much what you would have done in, we have A-levels. So it's like what you would have done in A-levels or high school to a certain level. It's just this in Chinese again. So if you studied it before, it's like a revision, but in Chinese. If you didn't do it before, then it's not so fun. But yeah, it was pretty good, I guess I would say. There are a lot of people that don't take advantage of this period because they figure they have so much free time and they go traveling and they do whatever. I think it's like the most crucial point and like to get the language before going into your degree.
It is mostly in Mandarin. There are very few English taught classes here. And if they are English taught, they're most likely master's or postgraduate classes. So all of my courses tend to be in Chinese except for one that I'm taking this semester, which is international law, which is taught in English by a Chinese guy. So it actually doesn't get that whole native speaker feel thing, you know? It's just this like awkwardly la 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 English, you know? So
He's trying.
He's trying. I'm not mad at him actually. I'm just, you know, because I feel like it would be a lot more humored and stuff like that if a native speaker taught it. You know, he just kind of just it's very dull. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you like? So you said it's an international law class. So I guess for the remainder of the time, your class is focused on understanding Chinese laws or Chinese system of government. Like how?
It's concentrated on like Chinese legal system, but let's just say, for instance, if I study criminal law, which I have a criminal law class as well, we will have to also approach different systems throughout the world. So we're going to tackle like, you know, how they do it in Europe and how it works in the US and how it works in Japan and stuff like that. So, because the Chinese legal system is not just its own system, it's based off of other systems, you know. Yeah, you're right. They do like, well, it's kind of complicated actually to say what China's legal system is, but on paper it's this like special socialist civil law system. So it's based off of like German and Japanese civil law. But it's
before I came here, I had a really huge interest in Japanese and Chinese culture specifically. Really because I didn't know too much about it, you know, either culture. So I kind of just looked at which place would be easier to live financially, and I decided that China obviously would be the place. That's kind of why I'm here studying.
I mean, a ton of people actually don't speak Chinese in my program. So if you've never been to China before or never studied Chinese, you have to take like a required Chinese course, Rudiments of Chinese Language. There's also another course, Selected Issues in China, where I think it's taught by 5 professors. So like every 3 weeks, like there's a new one that teaches about like culture, philosophy, politics, history, stuff like that. So for people who don't know much about China or haven't studied about Chinese culture or history before, like they have to take that. So it's a good way to kind of become more acclimated, and also it's necessary really, because as soon as you step outside of campus, even in some places on campus, like you have to know like at least some Chinese to like get around. So it definitely helps if you have prior experience in China, but they still have classes and stuff for people who don't.
Entirely in Chinese, unless you're fortunate enough to find one that's like a bilingual or like ultimately English class, but those are very few. Those are mainly like electives and not compulsory courses. But when you go on to do your masters, they have more courses available in English, or at least bilingual. Yeah.
All my classes in the first year here was in Chinese, and now we're with the Chinese students in other campus, and they're also, I think English is becoming a big thing for Chinese right now. So they're trying to get their students to, you know, learn English and stuff, so they're incorporating English in some of the classes. Like I have this macroeconomics class, and it's like Chinese English. It's a bit funny. The teacher speaks Chinese, but the PPT and all the materials for classes are in English. I have like 2 classes like this. And all the rest is Chinese, mathematics, accounting, and all this stuff is in Chinese. I also have a computer class, which is, they call it Shuangke, which is 2 language classes, English and Chinese. So sometimes the teacher speaks in English and the materials is in Chinese. I guess it's to make provision for international students and Chinese students. So like, for the macro class, when we go to exams, we had the midterms just last month, and you can choose the English paper or the Chinese paper. if you want. Yeah, it's just a way to make provisions for both sets of children in the class.
I feel like that whole regurgitation thing must be with their like high school and their lower education, right? But in higher education, I do think that like if you speak fluent Chinese, you can get a lot from the professor, you know, and he'll give you a lot of insight and stuff like that. But if you're kind of like me, who is this learning second language speaker, I'm just kind of like, I don't get all the jokes he's talking about. You know what I was saying, how like in my international law class, it just lacks that whole authenticity. But if you are fluent in Chinese and taking with a Chinese professor, he's gonna tell you what the real tea is and da-da-da. He's not, like my criminal law professor, he's pretty cool. And he talks about all the realest shit too. He talks about some real shit. And when I understand, I'm like, yes. Like there was once he said something about like just the misconceptions of the United States, and he was like, he spit some fire. He was like, I know y'all be loving them, but you go there and you gonna see they ain't got everything figured out like you think they do. You know, like they got problems too. I mean, I'm just kind of like paraphrasing, but he kind of put it out there like that. And I was like, yes, he woke. My professor was woke. But sometimes, so it's getting better for me. I'm starting to understand more and more and more, of course. But like, when it's like awkward when it's that moment where everyone laughs and you're just kind of like, oh, was there a joke in there?
It's an algorithm. It's just an algorithm, man. I mean, not an algorithm, it's alchemy. That's how I was thinking. Just mixing words together. And like, if you actually know the single meaning of both of these words together, like, you can actually just figure out what the fuck is going on, like, with that word. Like, you just have to have a good, like, foundation of individual characters. And after that, once you start putting them together, it's kind of all you need. The word for radio is like guangguo, alright? And then, like,
computers electric brain, you know that.
Yeah, computers electric brain, 电脑. And then, yeah. I'm trying to think, like, yeah, there's a bunch, man. But you have to understand like the Chinese way of thinking in like pre-1935, like, and then you'll get like an idea. Like then you can look at the characters and be like, oh, okay, like this is why this is, yeah. But that's yeah.
But what about like
McDonald's? That's just a transliteration. It's just McDonald's, but it's just using like Chinese characters, McDonald's, right? It like to Chinese people it probably sounds good, you know, like with their language, like that sounds nice, right? For us, McDonald's is McDonald's, but McDonald's is like the closest thing in Chinese to McDonald's, like sounding. My name in Chinese is Yi Zihan. Yi Zihan.
Yeah, my teacher's Tanzanian. Yeah, he works in media, I believe it is. But yeah, he's Tanzanian, like native speaker completely. And yeah, so they only employ native speakers, I believe, because they also teach Igbo from Nigeria. Yeah, so they've got like a couple of languages going on. So it's pretty good. I mean, Peking and I think it's ZNU, Zhejiang Normal University, are the two universities in China which have the really like comprehensive Sino-African studies centers. So I think that's the main reason why they've like expanded into African languages here. They also have African literature courses. Yeah, like I met a graduate of the course. So they've got a lot going on.
Our programs are like some level, there's like some semblance of like same like difficulty level, because I know, like at least for me, I'm busy all the time. Like prior to coming here, I thought grad school was gonna be like undergrad again. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna be in this club, I'm gonna be in this club, I'm gonna do this, do that, do that, do that. I only have time to like study. I go to the dragon boat practices, but now I like don't go to the gym, I don't run anymore, so that kind of like took away from other things. And then, so yeah, like that's the only two things I really do. I study, I do dragon boat. And I've been in talks with like some of my friends, like every once in a while like we'll message each other on Snapchat or something, or like do FaceTime, and like it's just like it seems like really comparable. It's just like for grad school, it seems like in China or in America, like you're just reading. all the time because like you have a quiz, you have a test, like you have like some project that you have to do. So it's constant work, but I feel like I'm learning so much.
There's no cultural classes now. It's more or less just language, grammar, vocabulary, and speaking. Yeah, that's basically all it is. It's just language. The culture is outside of the classroom, man. I guess, you know.
I'm even planning to do my master's here, maybe with my government scholarship, or we can sign up. They also have a really good scholarship program here. Like, if your grades are really good, you can get a scholarship from a school.
Quite frankly, I don't like the concept of cheating. Like, why cheat? You don't learn anything from it. You know, like when it comes to exams, like to be honest, I study my butt off. Like during the classes, I try my best to pay attention and like get the PowerPoints and like I always follow my textbook and I highlight and circle things so that I can know, okay, this is the general thing that they were studying, that they were discussing. And then for the exam, like if they have a question and answer time, I use that time. Like I go and I find that professor, I'm like, okay, this 怎么做我不懂 like 给我解释一下 like you know explain this to me. I don't really get it sometimes. So I mean I'm like in my degree I was like the only foreigner in the class. I'm the only black dot in the class. It's very easy to draw attention to myself. So whereas they can just have their phone on the table or they have whatever underneath, nobody's really looking at them. They're gonna be looking at me. I didn't really think of all of that, but it's just not my nature to say like, oh, I'm gonna cheat or I'm gonna really, you know. Yeah, I know it burns. It really does, because not only do they cheat, but like if it's a class with like other international students as well, they cheat as well. So it's like it's surrounded by a bunch of people cheating, and all you can do is just like look around. The funny thing is, only in my third year, I found out that people were paying people for the exams. I mean, what can I say? What can I do? It really sucks. But what kind of made me not feel so bad about that was that as we graduated from undergrad, I was chosen to do the commencement speech. So I was like, when I told my mom, and like I used to always complain to her about the cheating, they're like, oh, well, you see, they know that you actually did the work because my grades were actually legit. Like you could be like, okay, 70 something. Yeah, she probably did that by herself. 60 something. Okay, she probably did that by herself, you know. So I got to do the commencement speech at the graduation, which was the first time the international students and the Chinese students' graduation were put together as one ceremony. So it was like the first time I made a little history there, and it was a black person that got to do it. So, yay!
I was thrown into China to experience it, and you know, it made you like it made you a better. To me, it makes me like a better person, because I mean, you will ask my mom and she will tell you like, oh, I was very irresponsible, and you know, we had all these things being done for us, so you know, we didn't have to cook and whatever. And look at me now. I mean, I cook, I live on my own, I do everything. I get up for 8 a.m. classes. I get back at 8 p.m. I cook for the next day and stuff. And so for me, I will be like, come experience it for yourself. On your first year, when you're doing your language, I think you should take it very, very, very serious. Like, even if it looks really easy, my advice is to take it really serious, because after this year, you're on your own basically, with all the new words. Because I mean, it has so much, like one word have like 10 minutes, and you have to figure it out. So I think that's my only advice. Come live it up and take your language very seriously.
I would advise people to take as many chances and take as many opportunities from funding, you know, like scholarships and things like that, also internship opportunities. I would tell them not to pass them up. Unless there's like serious alarm bells, I think it's always a good idea. Always a good idea. Even for a shorter semester, I think it's a good idea to come out and try and check and see, test the water, see if you like it. I think should be kind of fearless in that sense. Even if you have, even if you are kind of a bit apprehensive before coming, there are support networks, there are people who have come before you can contact, there are normally groups, you know, on WeChat or on Facebook, being black in China, black women in China, black women in Beijing, there's different groups depending on what area you're in. So I think it's really easy. You know, I think I was worried before I came about how I'd be received, how I'd feel, whether I'd be able to get everything that I need while I'm here, but no problems.
That's also him right there. He is literally everywhere, and here's the guy behind the face. I love this guy. This is so cool.
Where you from?
We're both Americans.
American. Ah, good.
This is the funniest thing I have ever seen. I had to videotape it on my like actual video because I love this man.
Wow.
All of these faces, they're all self-portraits. Like, there's this big one. And I think the best one is the self-portrait over there, where he inserts himself in a random stamp, like.
Family photo.
Family photo.
Yeah. No, not me.
Not you?
Me.
You sure?
Yeah. Here, brother, sister, not me.
Oh. And then here he is. Oh, this is sweet, man. This is, and how do you say creative? If you're a creative, you're a person who is, let's see.